This is Find Your Flow, a show about navigating the complexities of life and business through the lens of curiosity. I'm your host, Angelique, and I bring together experts to deliver responsibly curated conversations and perspectives that aim to progress people and the planet. All right, so stress, anxiety, depression, addiction, and mental illness, these are among some of the most alarming and fastest growing epidemics today. Yet there is still so little access to emphasis on alternative healing methods to modern medicine or in combination with modern medicine. So while modern medicine holds an important place in our society, as does the need for people to become advocates for their own healing and their health journey when it comes to mental or physical health. So often we can disconnect the parts to the whole in an effort to feel relief and fast. But long-term gain often stems from diving deep into areas of our head and our hearts to heal from the core, and one of those theories and methods we will explore today. So here to welcome our guest, Amy Kleist. She is the owner of Happy Whole You in Raleigh, North Carolina, and she has dedicated her life's work to helping people live better lives through her education in public and holistic health, while also working her way to a doctorate in naturopathy. She has served her clients' wellness journey at Happy Whole You, and today I am so honored to welcome Amy to share her story. Welcome, Amy.
You're the sweetest. Thanks for having me on here today. I feel very honored to be in this space with you. So thank you.
Absolutely. So to kick things off, how did you find your flow? What brought you to consider this as your life's work, and especially with opening Happy Whole You Studio?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of pieces. I think when we are on the path of healing, there's always signs, and it's just trying to get to those signs. So I have always been interested in health and wellness. I started running track in second grade. I ran track in college. I've done figure competitions. I've just dabbled a lot into the health and wellness. And it wasn't until I started watching Anna Marie. And Anna, we met in college at Western Michigan, and we ran track together. And so we were, after college, we were friends and on social media and just continue to stay in contact. And she was my seed for Happy. So Happy Whole You, that name is rooted with Anna Marie. And so I started watching her stories, and I was like, what is she doing? And so that inspired me to go back to school. And I'll be wrapping up my doctorate in naturopath here in a couple weeks. And after that, I'm just going to continue on towards my PhD. So that's kind of my story of, how this all happened. Happy Whole You.
I love it. And I got to give a quick shout out because we discovered very early on in our relationship that we're both fellow Broncos. So I love that connection. But I also love to hear that there is that good that comes out of social media where you're inspired to follow someone's journey enough so that you opened up your own business in this space to propel that message, to propel those offerings. And diving into a little bit of that, I want to talk about the first time that I went to Happy Whole You and my experience. I think for me, I've always been extremely open to what are all the things that are out there? What can I try? What are these new modalities that, might enlighten me in some capacity? In the very least, I can learn if it's something for me or if it's not. And what I loved is you really opened my eyes to the idea of Theta State. And, I don't want to do it. You're going to do it much more justice than I do in introducing it. So I want to talk about that because, again, it was such a concept that I feel like people don't really think about on their healing journey, especially when it comes to mental health. So tell us more about the Theta State and, how you've seen that transformation for people that you've been working with.
Absolutely. So when we're thinking about the theta is a brainwave, and it's a slower brainwave, right? So a lot of times we are living in a very fast brainwave. And I call that the hamster wheel of life. And so we're just running, running, running. Or you can also look at it as a very sympathetic nervous system, right? Versus the parasympathetic, where it's the calm and rest. And so this theta state just allows you to be in a very calm, meditative state. And there's just a lot of healing that can happen in theta. It's a very creative mindset, but it's also, we call it the reprogramming and remapping of the brain. The brainwave, because it's just very calming and it's allowing information to come in. So if you think about brain waves and how our brain is working, right? If we have any dams in our mind or our body, energy cannot flow through. So when you are getting into a theta brainwave or meditative state, it's allowing some of those pathways, new neural pathways, to be created, so that you can start to think maybe a little bit differently about situations, traumas, PTSD, anxiety, depression, addiction, just those negative repetitive loops. So it's a very intense healing that you can do, and we love it here at Happy Whole You.
I love that. And the other thing that you had mentioned to me is, and maybe you could speak more about briefly, is when we're children, we're in that constant state of theta. But as we're older, we start to build on these traumas and we disconnect these neural pathways.
Exactly.
A little bit more.
Yeah. So when you think about when you and I were little girls, right? We are very creative. We are playing outside, and we're like Play-Doh, where we're very moldable, right? So you have to be careful on what is your environment if you are raising children, right? Because that environment is so crucial, and because we are like Play-Doh, in that theta brainwaves, you're going to soak up everything that's around you. So the theta is that creative sense, the intuition. It's just a very, it's like right before you get into like a very deep sleep is a theta. But as children, we're running around in this theta state, a very creative state. And so as adults, it's nice to kind of go back and focus on that theta brainwaves. And it's just a way to kind of calm and balance the brain. So we're always trying to balance, right? So if we can calm and balance the brain waves with the theta, then you just feel that overall sense of calmness.
Absolutely. And I can speak to that here in a second with my experience. But I'm curious to also hear what has been some of the feedback that you've heard from the people that you've worked with. What has been the progress, or, I know what I loved is you were very adamant about setting an intention when you come into your space, which I love. But what is some of the feedback that you hear from the folks that have worked with you in that, the Theta Pod specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Theta Pod that we have here at Happy Whole You does use different modalities. It uses the CES, cranial electrical stimulation, and you put it on your ears. And you're not feeling anything, but it's sending pulses to the brain. You have the eye, the LED lights that are flashing, and what that's doing, it's mimicking EMDR. So it's just that patterns of lights. And then you have the binaural audio beats to balance the brain. You have the vestibular motion of the pod actually spinning in a circle. So when you combine all of these healing modalities, clients feel just an overall sense of, it's almost like a computer restart is how I like to describe it. You're literally shutting down your computer and then you're restarting it. So it's important, right? With our technology, we do a restart all the time. Yes, you are, when you go to sleep at night, you are in that rest and digest, but how often do we get into this deep meditative state? And meditation is such an important piece, right, to our everyday health and wellness. It creates such the new pathways in the brain. There's so many people that meditate. There's just study after study. Overall, their health and wellness just skyrockets, right? The prefrontal cortex increases. There's just a lot of benefits. And the thing about meditation, it could take a skilled meditator years of practice to get into the type of theta that you get into the Theta Pod in 30 minutes. So it's just, even if you're brand new to meditating, it's a great tool so that you can kind of see like, whoa, this is kind of what meditation is about. This is what it feels like to have this calm state. I have so many clients that have never experienced that, and they come out of the pod feeling like, whoa, is this what calm is supposed to be? And I'm like, yes.
I love that. And I could not echo that enough. I mean, that was absolutely my experience in the Theta Pod. And I will share some videos and links to what the Theta Pod looks like, because you walk into this room and it's literally this ginormous pod that you lay on. Amy also has a chakra mat, which helps balance chakras during the experience as well. But then this pod is spinning, and you're spinning for, I think there was a total of 30 minutes that you're spinning in this space. And, you know, between what is on your ears, you're having the binaural beats in your head, you're having the LED lights on your eyes. I remember my first experience. Now, I didn't listen to you, and I actually opened my eyes when it started. I'm like, all right, chill out. This thing, you're moving. But, you know, instantly brought it back. And, you know, I think it was that experience of, I felt so heavy in just relaxation. But then what was going on deep inside my mind at the time, it was like these wild flashes of different memories throughout my life. And I remember there was instances of, you know, me remembering being in my tree house when I was young and sitting there with my coloring books. And, you know, I kind of was like, why am I here? And then I'd go to another scene of my life, and, you know, different people coming in, different activities that I was doing. And, you know, I don't know if it was necessarily tied to specific trauma in those states, but it was almost just wanting to bring me back to those moments of play. And that's, you know, specific for my experience there. But I just love the relaxation that I felt of it. And I did feel this sense of calm, this sense of peace. And, you know, for the days to follow, one of the things that you had said, and you're like, you know, you might have some interesting dreams. And I remember that night, it was one of those almost lucid dreams where I kept going in and out of, and I kept wanting to like ask more questions, dig deeper into what was going on into my dream. But you asked me the next morning, you're like, did you have any crazy dreams? And I'm like, I forgot that you told me this. And I'm like, Amy.
Yes.
It was wild. It was like I went on this roller coaster of an experience inside my own dream state, which, you know, it's just, again, it was something that if you don't have the openness to trying something new, then you'll never know. And I think for me, I definitely felt as though I was able to reap the benefits of it.
Absolutely.
What is your recommendation? Sorry, really quickly, what is your recommendation on something like that? I mean, you know, I think a lot of times we're so like, instant gratification, just let's get this trauma out of the way. Let's go ahead and, you know, get over this. And it's not like, one time in the Theta Pod, you're healed. If that was the case, then I think we would, that it would be
right.
Yeah. What is your experience with and your recommendation for how often people should experience something like that? And what are maybe the milestones that they should look for?
Yeah, absolutely. So going into the Theta, there's different programs depending on what the person is trying to achieve. So if I'm working with a client that has an addiction, that could be a 21-day program where they're coming every single day for 21 days. Now they can do a 10-day program where they come twice a day. So there's different options. If I'm working with a client that has severe anxiety or depression, PTSD, any of those, I can tailor the program. It's going to be any of those that are going to be kind of on the higher end, 10 to 21 days in the Theta. Now, if it's more of a maintenance type of a thing, I think the Theta once a week is absolutely one of my personal favorites. That's what I do here at Happy, is I do the Theta at least once a week, but I'm more on the maintenance. Now, when I have my clients come in, we do a full AO scan with them, and that is just a scan of scanning the entire body, 120,000 frequencies, and it's like blood work, but frequency based. And then from there, I write a customized program. So often that way I can kind of know what I'm looking at with the person, energetically, and then I take my physical observations. And often the Theta Pod will be a part of everyone's healing journey here at Happy.
I love that. I love it. I can't wait to try it again. I've done it twice now, and I would definitely recommend it, at least in the very least, just for the experience, just to know what it's about and see if it's something that might be right for people.
Absolutely.
But I think there's also an interesting connection to the several modalities that are included into it. So you're in this Theta Pod and you're spinning, but you have the EMDR going, you have the LED light frequencies, you've got the CES, which is the connectivity onto your ears. Now I know, we could do completely other segments on each and every one of those individually, but I guess how does all the parts connect to the whole in the experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at the light pieces, that's the EMDR. That's a big buzzword going on right now. And that is simply patterns. So if you go to a counselor, I've done this with my counselor, she would tap on my knees and I was closing my eyes. And that pattern got me into a Theta state, essentially. People have done it where they will look at a pattern this way. So what we do in the Theta Pod is the light stimulation. And so what that's doing is it's breaking cycles, right? Breaking dams so that new pathways in the brain can essentially be created. And the way that I describe it, if you can think about your brain like a highway, the more roads, then you have less traffic. So then you can let's take this pathway or let's take this pathway. But if you're always taking the same pathway, then you are not open to all of these other pathways. And so that's exactly what we're doing with all of these modalities. Same thing with the binaural audio beats, right? Those are one frequency on one ear, one frequency on another ear, and it's balancing the brain to that common frequency. So your brain actually just feels this calm state.
So the other question that comes up for me is I'm curious to learn and share, like, what is some of the history and how do we find these modalities? Where did this come from?
Yeah, so I obviously learned about all of them from Anna Marie, since she has all of these modalities in Bakersfield, California. So shout out to my girl, Anna. Whoop, whoop. But besides that, so the company is based in Utah, and the gentleman that created the Theta, he actually adopted a couple special needs kids at different points in his life. And he wanted to figure out with these children, how could he help them just live the best life that they can? And so he created the Theta Pod to help these kids just to have and live the best life that he can. But a lot of my modalities come from this company, and like my RF, my AO scan, all come from this company in Utah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I want to meet, or I want to learn more about Anna Marie too, and her story, because I think that's, it's just, again, it's being open to these different modalities, but then it's bringing people into them and sharing them. It's like, if you discover something that you believe can help somebody, then why not at least give them an opportunity to experience it for themselves? And, I think, again, it's not everything is right for everybody. And there's no blanketed approach to our mental or physical health and well-being. But if you can try these different approaches and share these different things with people as a way to inform your own roadmap, I think it's awesome. I love it.
I agree.
I know people are probably wondering, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so they can see more of it. Let's chat a little briefly about that, the machine going on, the biocharger hanging out behind me here.
Just this random piece of device,
Big looking pod. I mean, yes. What do we got here?
I would love to turn it on, but it would not work well with technology.
Oh, like the frequencies kind of make it.
Yeah. So the biocharger has a Tesla coil in the center. It has 6 different elements on each side. So if you think about the biocharger, it is a high frequency. It's just sending high frequency. It's a high frequency generator. And what that's doing is, it's not always just doing the highest frequencies. It does a bunch of different frequencies. Mm-hmm. But high frequency meaning it is a strong, to the point where when we first bought the biocharger, my brother and I were like, hey, let's just see, when you're a kid, when you like have your onesie, whatever, foot pot feeding, you know what I'm talking about? And
I think so. Yeah.
Hard on the ground, and then you shock each other. We're like, okay, yes. Let's just charge next to the biocharger, and then we will touch fingers, right? Even though it says not to, we're like, okay, well, let's just try it out. We have to try it out, right? We got to try it out. So we touched fingers, and we literally had smoke coming from our fingers. So it is very intense. So the biocharger essentially is charging your cells. So if you think of each cell being a battery, and if you're able to charge up that cell, just like your cell phone, right? When you want your cell phone to be charged each day, we want ourselves to be charged each day. Now, of course, we want you to be going outside and getting your vitamin D, right? Getting your charge from the sun. We want you to be earthing or grounding, putting your feet into the ground. But when you have a device like this, the biocharger, it's just giving you kind of like that reset. It's just charging up your cells. So I always recommend clients that come into Happy, no matter what you book here at Happy, always include a biocharge session, because if you're going to go into the detox pod, of course you're going to want to charge up those cells so that when you go into the detox pod or the infrared sauna, right, that you're able to detox better, right? So it just kind of enhances everything, your experience.
What is the vicinity that is most effective? Like where you're sitting in relation to the biocharger right now, or is there some sort of frequency box that it includes?
Yeah. So you want to sit within a 6 feet.
Okay.
Essentially of the biocharger. But I do have a little light that is my little tree lights. And it's probably, I don't know how far that would be. It's probably more than 6 feet. And when I turn on the biocharger, the light turns on and off, and it's further than 6 feet. But to get the most out of it, you want to be at least within 6 feet of the biocharger.
I remember when I had tried it, I loved that you had some books available, so it was easy to just kind of sit by it. You're like, get your phone out of here, which is great, because I can only imagine what it does with, having the phone interference as well. So, leaving all your phone and anything else inside or outside of the room. But it was a relaxing experience, just a moment to release and meditate. And how many minutes are typically, was it 10 minutes, 15 minutes? If I remember correctly, it was a shorter period of time.
Yeah, so each program, so the biocharger actually holds 600 recipes. So if we're doing a hormone balance, that one is a 20-minute recipe. Okay. If we're doing anxiety support, there's a 10-minute recipe. If we're doing liver, I think that one is 15. So all of them vary, but typically you're going to be there from about 10 to 20 minutes per recipe, and you can do 3 recipes a day is the recommendation.
Got it. What are some ways, we've talked about the Theta State, the Theta Pod, we've talked about, we scratched the surface of EMDR and some of these other modalities. What are some of the ways that people can, when not we're not going to Happy Holy You, like what can we do at home to reflect on those moments or, tap into that Theta State? Like what are some of the things that we can be doing at home to?
Absolutely. Well, I recommend this to every single one of my clients, using something called a brain tap. I wish I had one close by, but I don't. The brain tap is actually an app that you can download, and you get it for 15 days for free. So it's amazing. But what that's going to do is that you can balance the brain, right? Balance the brain using the binaural audio beats. And so that is an amazing thing that you can utilize. You don't even have to buy the headset. Yes, the headset adds a 20% benefit, but the headset is, a $600 purchase. So sometimes that can be a little steep at front. So that's why I say the app is a great tool. After the free trial, I think it's $10 a month. So you can't beat that price to balance your brain, right?
Right.
Outside of the app, there's a lot of free things. So you can do, like I said earlier, grounding outside or earthing, putting your feet into the earth, right? So you're getting that natural charge. I always recommend clients getting 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight a day that is charging you. If you think about, we are like a plant, right? Plants need water, sunlight, and nutrients. We need all of those things too. So I tell my clients, water is super important, right? Drinking about 4 ounces of water every 30 minutes, about half your weight in ounces a day is the goal. So I'm going to cheers to some good water.
Cheers to that. I only have my coffee with me, so that's kind of the opposite, I think.
Yes. And always drink water before coffee.
Yes.
I
have started that practice. And have done wonders. It's like, like pouring, acidic water on our stomachs first thing in the morning. Isn't it good for us? What? What? That's crazy. So one of the other questions that had come up for me, throughout these experiences, and I do appreciate that you had mentioned some free alternatives that people can be doing. I mean, hopefully everyone has, I hope that everyone has access to be able to go to somewhere where they can go ground, where, in the last few weeks in North Carolina, we've not had the most sunshine, but access to some of these things, because I think that's one thing I worry about with a lot of these wellness modalities is like some of it can be inaccessible for the people who may need it most. And maybe we can kind of scratch the surface of something like that, because let's be honest, we can consume our way to wellness. There's a lot of intrinsic work that we have to do, but again, it comes down to the accessibility. What are some maybe resources or spaces that people can go that may have more free opportunities for mental and physical wellness?
Yeah, so honestly, so I'm working on my yoga certification right now. My fiance is, and I will have that completed in March, I believe, and we're doing it with Pro Power Yoga. So shout out to my girls there. But yoga is something that can be done on your own, and it's free, and you can do it anywhere. So I would recommend yoga to everyone. It's a way of life. It is allowing yourself to come centered on your mat, or if you're outside on the earth. And there's so many different pieces of yoga that you can work on. I mean, it is changing you at a cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my recommendation if you're looking for free options that you can do yourself. Obviously, you can go to yoga studios, which I 100% love going to yoga studios, because then I don't have to think about it. I just kind of go, right? Yeah. That's the benefit of having your teacher guide you through the practice. Now, and that's the thing that with yoga, so many people think that they have to do exactly what the person is guiding them, but they are just a guide there. It's not, if you want to be in child's pose the entire time, that is perfect. Yes. So you can learn a couple poses and do them on your own, and just start with a little yoga practice.
I love that. And I think that there are a lot of different resources that are also free. YouTube, where you can go and at least get some instruction on how to get your body moving. But again, it all goes down to how you feel personally. And I think that that's a really great mention, because once you understand that yoga, yes, it very much is about the postures, but that is only one limb. There's so many different facets of yoga that relate to our breath, pranayama, that relate to our styles of eating and Ayurvedic foods. And so maybe that is a really good opportunity to share more about all the different facets of what a yogic lifestyle looks like as a mode of healing. So I think that was a really great mention. I appreciate that. And I will make sure to tag Pro Power Yoga. They're local here to Raleigh. I also happen to know those gals, and they're amazing women. So would definitely recommend if you're interested. That experience is great too. Mm-hmm. So Amy, another question. What is your superpower? Besides like helping and healing everybody, what would you say is another superpower of yours?
It's funny, so some of my t-shirts that I have, it says we make superhumans. But when I think about my superpower, I would say the ability to connect with people. I mean, I have people that walk in these doors and they're crying. The first time they meet me, they're sharing their stories with me, and I am honored to hold the space for them to feel safe to share that with me. Yes. So I would say my superpower kind of goes with my mission statement, which my mission is to radiate love, inspire, and empower others to join me on the highway to healing. And that's what life is all about, is just kind of peeling back those layers of the onion and getting to the root cause of some of the traumas or dis-ease that we go through.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a really great kickoff point too. So how can people find you? Whether you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, you can come into Happy Whole You, or they can tune in online and learn more about you and the offerings.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in Raleigh, North Carolina, North Raleigh, I should say. But clients can find me on social media. So the handle is Happy Whole You RDU. So they can find me on social media, the Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Also, we have amazing workshops. So if some of the modalities might seem a little like, oh, I'm not ready to do the theta, we do have modalities like an infrared sauna that, it's more working on detox. So we have different levels of modalities, but some of these workshops and classes, the women's circle Oh my goodness, ladies, I am so excited. So this year, my word is unity for the community. And these women's circles happen every Friday here at Happy, 7 o'clock on a Friday night. You come comfortable and just get ready to dive deep with ladies. But we have different seasonal workshops. We just did the in bulk workshop. We have chakra balancing, acupuncture.
Lost her, unfortunately.
A little bit of yin yoga.
There we go. She just cut out for a second, Amy.
Oh no.
You're all right. So I think you ended on the women's circle, the women's group.
Women's. Okay, leave off there.
Yep.
Okay. So after, besides the women's circles, we also have chakra balancing classes. We have acupuncture, breath works. And then the 15th of this month, the day after my birthday, Valentine's Day, we are doing sacred sounds with yin yoga here on the 15th. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to come into Happy, whether it's a modality, a specialized program, a workshop or a class, an event. We got your back. We got you covered.
Love it. Come into Happy.
Yeah. And this is my slogan. I always say, be happy, be whole, and be you.
Love it. Love it. Well, Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing. And for everyone watching, I will be sure to include some links there. And, I always encourage folks, like, explore, take your health into your own hands, find things that might be right for you. And you never know what might catch your eye and what might make a difference in your life. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And